I somehow deleted my review of Glass Sword, so let's just do a review of that one and King's Cage together. I honestly don't even really know what I said about Glass Sword, but I'm going to try to give y'all a brief review of this one and then continue with a review for King's Cage. So Glass Sword is the second installment in the Red Queen series, and I did enjoy this one more than Red Queen, and I liked Red Queen. Honestly, I'm liking this series so much more than I thought I was going to. I just didn't really have high hopes for it, I guess. I don't know why. Maybe because it's not like popular and talked about all the time. But I wanted to read a fantasy series and I had 3 of the 4 books and I figured I'd give it a shot, and I have liked it so much so far. And I liked Glass Sword more than Red Queen because I felt like in Red Queen we were getting to know a couple characters, but we're mostly just getting to know Mare. And while she's definitely not the worst FMC ever, she's not like my favorite character either. So since we're really only focusing on her in Red Queen, it wasn't really my favorite book. I did really enjoy Maven in that one, which, I mean, you can check out my review of Red Queen. Let's skip that. But Glass Sword is less about Mare trying to like hide who she is and fit in with the Silvers, and then also feeling like she is betraying her people, the Reds, by fitting in with the Silvers. Glass Sword is mostly Mare and Kilorn and Cal and all the others in her group trying to find other New Bloods, and New Bloods are Reds with abilities, because in this world only Silvers have abilities until Mare. And then they find out that like, oh, some of the Reds also have powers. So Glass Sword is mostly about trying to find those other New Bloods. So I did really like it. That was a lot of fun. I think one of my criticisms for this was that there are so many new characters that it was a little bit hard to keep them straight. And I think that Victoria Aveyard does a good job of trying to remind you who each character is. So like each New Blood has a specific ability, and pretty often when she talks about a New Blood, she'll be like, oh, and this is the one who can do this. But not always. Mare tends to tell us that a lot more about the Silvers and the houses than she does about like each individual New Blood. So I definitely got a little bit confused, wasn't really sure who was who sometimes. But that wasn't really a big deal, it just was a little bit confusing at times. But this one ended with a twist that I didn't see coming, and I'm gonna end up spoiling it because I'm gonna talk about the next book. So yeah, sorry about that, but there's gonna be spoilers for the ending of this one as we move into King's Cage. King's Cage was perfectly titled. This was so good, and so far this is my favorite book of the series, so I'm really excited for Warstorm because, in my opinion, the books have just been getting better as they go. In this one, we see a lot more of Maven, which, like I said, he was my favorite character in Red Queen, and then Red Queen ended with this twist that I didn't see coming and completely made me rethink who Maven is, because he's not at all who you thought he was. And so then in Glass Sword, we see little bits and pieces of him, but we really don't see him that much. But in King's Cage, Mare is imprisoned within the palace. So we see Maven all the time because he is king now. I really liked getting to know him better, and we also get to learn more about why he is the way that he is, why he is this unfeeling kind of monster. We learn a lot more about like his past and things that have happened to him, and I don't know, I really love Maven, and so I'm liking getting to see more of him and also learn more about him. And while I still can't like empathize with him, I don't know, I really liked seeing him a lot more in this book. We also have different perspectives in this book. So the other 2 books have been entirely from Mare's perspective, but in King's Cage, we also see things from Evangeline's perspective and Cameron's perspective, which I didn't really like Cameron. So for the first half of this, anytime one of her chapters came up, it was usually not my favorite chapter. I just don't really love the way that they're written. She's kind of the FMC that I don't usually like because she's a little bit more like, woe is me, boo-hoo. So I didn't really like her chapters that much. They did get better as they went on. I started to like her more, so then her chapters were easier to endure. But I still preferred Mare's chapters, partially just because Mare was in the palace with Maven, but I like her a little bit more. It was very interesting getting chapters from Evangeline's point of view, and I still prefer the way that Mare's are written, but it was interesting to see a little bit more in depth into Evangeline and what she's thinking and what her wants are, because up until this book she's kind of just been a nemesis towards Mare, and we just get to see a little bit more of her in King's Cage. This one also ended with a twist that I absolutely did not see coming, and I'm so excited to get into Warstorm and see what in the world is going to happen and how it's all going to get wrapped up and fixed. Because as a reader, there are things that I expect. I expect certain people to be together, and I expect the world to be a certain way, and I don't really know how we're going to get there. There's going to have to be a lot of growing for each character and just a lot of changes, and so I'm very excited to see how all that happens. I've also enjoyed getting more into the politics of this world in a little bit in Glass Sword and then a lot more in King's Cage. I think that's been really interesting. And I think the series is just getting better as it goes for me because it starts focusing more on the characters and you see a lot more of their depth and the layers to who they are. And I just think that they're very involved characters. They're not like flat one-dimensional. And I wouldn't say that they're like the best written characters I've ever seen and the most in-depth and like done perfectly, but I do think they tend to be more in-depth than a lot of characters. And like I said, they're definitely not flat. I had to pause my filming for some technical difficulties, but I think I finished saying everything I wanted to about the characters, so I'm just going to try to move on from that. So I've also already discussed the plot, I believe. I don't really know what else to say about the plot because I don't want to give anything away, but I did enjoy this one. I did really enjoy seeing more of, again, the politics and of Maven and of the royals, and we do see more of the Scarlet Guard also and how they work and who they're working with. So we get to see more of the other kingdoms also, because so far we've just been in Norta, but now we see more of Montfort and Piedmont. And I think those are the only two. And they're still recruiting more new bloods, so we are seeing a lot more of those with different abilities and powers, and some with the same powers but in different ways. And I think it's been really cool. I've really enjoyed it. My thoughts on the writing are still the same, where I think that it is either average or above average, because I've read so many poorly, just completely poorly written books that this is feeling like above average to me, but I might just have been reading the wrong authors. So let's call it average. It's pretty good. It doesn't like bog me down most of the time. There are definitely times when Victoria Aveyard does a little bit too much telling, like instead of letting us deduce things about the characters and what they're thinking and feeling, she will just outright tell us everything. But that's really my biggest criticism of the writing. So it's very manageable and definitely keeps me reading. And these are big books, like this one and the last one were both about 500 pages. But I still feel like I'm flying through them, especially this one. I don't know when I started it. Okay, I did just check, and it did take me about 2 weeks to read through this one, but that still feels quick just because I've had other things going on. Like there was Christmas in there, and then I've been really busy with work. Like I worked 10 days straight, so I'm still reading it every spare minute that I have. I just don't always have a lot of spare minutes. But I should have more time off this week, so I'm really hoping to get through Warstorm really quickly. But before I ramble too much more, I'm just going to go ahead and finish this video. So that is it for this one. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe down below. And leave a comment about what books you've started 2026 off with. I think that this one will not be coming out for a little while, so we might even be into February by the time this video releases, unless I move some things around, because I definitely have a bit of a backlog of videos, which is great for me. I don't have to worry so much about getting one out on Friday because I have like 3 or 4 weeks worth. But that does mean that this video is coming out a little bit late, but still, let me know what you've been reading in 2026. Hopefully some good ones, hopefully some 5-star reads. And that is it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.